I've got several olive trees. I've got 3 like this, very old specimen. I've got 4 Lollipop olive trees, and I've got a small olive tree in my gravel garden. And everyone loves olive trees. I know that YouTube loves olive trees. Every time I publish a video about olives, it gets great engagement. I also love my experiments, and I often get asked, how hard can you prune an olive tree? So during this year, I've been conducting an experiment on all of my olive trees just to see what the results of hard pruning an olive is. So in this video, I'm going to show you what I did and show you the results. And on this piece of paper, I've got some timelines. So the small olive tree in my gravel garden, I pruned hard back 20 weeks ago. On the 14th of January, I've got the footage, and I'll be dropping it in now so that you can see what it looked like 20 weeks ago. I'll also drop the same footage in next to the result, which I share with you in a moment. I also have 3 very large olive trees, and 11 weeks ago I pruned 2 of them to produce fruit, and I pruned 1 hard back, right back down here to the crown, and I'll be dropping in the footage of me pruning that now as I'm speaking to you. And I'll also show you the results of that, which was 11 weeks ago. And finally, 5 weeks ago, I hard pruned 2 of my 4 Lollipop olive trees. So 5 weeks ago, on the 24th of April, I hard pruned these, and I will again drop in some footage of me pruning them only 5 weeks ago. And eventually, in a moment, I will share the results of that pruning in this video. And there was another part to this experiment, because I had an olive tree in a pot which I thought was dead, and I pruned it right back to ground level, just in the off chance that it would sprout from the base. So I'll show you what happened with that one as well. Right, let's get into it. Let's first of all talk about the one I did furthest back in time, which was the gravel one, which I did 20 weeks ago. And here is that olive tree in my gravel garden. I've positioned myself to the right hand side of your screen, so hopefully I can drop some footage in on the left hand side. Now, I don't know if you can see it. I might even just see if this white piece of paper behind helps give you some contrast. But this small olive tree, or olive plant, which I hard pruned 20 weeks ago, is now a mass of lovely, fresh, healthy, green growth. And that growth has come from old wood. And that's one thing that you can be reassured about. Sorry, I've got some rooks and some ravens tormenting a buzzard in the sky above my head. Right, yes, one thing you can be assured about is that olive trees will grow back from hard wood. If you think about some of these olive trees, they are 400, 500, or even thousands of years old. Providing the central plant is still alive, the mother plant, as it were, they will come back from hardwood. And here's an example of that. And you are going to see some more examples in a moment. But this is the first experiment, and this has taken, I think I said 20 weeks. Yes, it's 20 weeks since I hard pruned that back. Now ideally you would do this pruning at the start of spring, when it's come out of dormancy and it is growing. And you can see here I've got a lovely result on this one. The next one we're going to look at is one of the big ones, and here it is. And once again, I'll position myself on one side of the screen so that I can run some archive footage on the other side of the screen. I pruned this right back. There was virtually no green on this at all when I pruned it. The reason I chose this one to prune, because of the 3 that I have, this one seemed to have come through the winter the worst. So I decided to experiment on this one. It was about 4 foot higher than this. And I took the loppers to it and took it right back down, almost to the crown. And you can see, like, once again, it's covered in beautiful, fresh, healthy green growth. And not only is the green growth coming from the end of these leaves and all the way up and down these stalks, there's also green growth coming from the hardwood, the old wood, in the crown of the olive tree. So that was pruned 11 weeks ago on the 17th of March. We're on the 3rd of June, by the way, so that's had 11 weeks, nearly 3 months to do this. And I think it looks really quite nice. I could prune this for shape, for topiary, or I could be selective and let some of these grow out and keep the rest of them short if I wanted to produce olives. So there's the second part of the experiment. I'm going to show you the Lollipop olives, which I pruned only 5 weeks ago, next. And then finally we'll go and have a look at the plant, which I chopped right down to the ground. And so you can see here, hopefully, once again, beautiful, fresh, healthy, olive green growth. Some bare twigs which were obviously dead 5 weeks ago, and I should have probably taken them off, but I couldn't necessarily have told whether they were dead or not. But the ones that are still alive are sprouting, and sprouting very, very well. Now hopefully you can see on camera as I'm talking to you, this one that I've pruned and the two to my right, which I didn't prune. This one was not in the shade of the house, and it really suffered with the wind coming over the house there. The prevailing wind comes from over there, and I think it did quite a lot of damage to these two olive trees. But that being said, look at how well it's come back, how well it's responded to that hard prune. The roots were fine underground, the trunk wasn't damaged, and so the plant has recovered well. By the end of the summer, this will once again be a lovely round lollipop, just like those two. However, if I go into winter again and don't do something about this wind, the same thing will happen next year, and I don't know how many times I can risk that happening without doing some permanent damage to the tree itself, because it will be stressed and weakened over time. So this week I am going to be putting a windbreak fence across here. I've got the wood, I bought the wood, and it's ready to be installed. That's why I've stripped the bamboo back, because I want the bamboo to look lovely from the other side. So that's another project for this week. Right, so we've looked at 3 of the scenarios where I hard pruned. The only one that we've got to look at now is the one which I chopped right down to the ground. Let's go and see that now. And I've kept it right here in a sheltered but sunny part of my compound. Now this was done 20 weeks ago at the same time as I pruned the olive tree in the gravel garden, and I'd assumed it was dead, and I just wanted to see if by cutting it right back down to the base we could see or encourage any growth to come from the base. 20 weeks later, I'm not seeing anything that looks like olive tree life. And what I might do now is take the dramatic step of pulling that out and just seeing if we've got anything going on at all in this root ball. No, there's nothing there. That's a goner. That's a dead olive. So that one really suffered through the winter. I didn't protect it. Perhaps I should have moved it somewhere more sheltered. But unfortunately, because of my negligence, I've lost it. And this is a shame, because this is one that I rescued from a supermarket when it looked dead in the supermarket, and it came back to life and had a real resurgence, and then didn't get through the winter. My fault, my responsibility. So there you go. I hard pruned my olive trees. Look what happened next. Hope you've enjoyed that, found it interesting. I hope it's given you some confidence to be a bit more robust and assertive with your olive trees. Some people say to me that their olive trees are spindly and all the growth is at the perimeter, at the top and at the extremities. And that's because they grow where the light is, and they grow at the end of the branches because of apical dominance. So if you prune those branches back, they will sprout new growth. I'll see you soon for some more olive tree pruning adventures. Bye for now.